Good evening, everyone. This is Toby Green, live from the G51 studios in luxurious Gresham, Oregon. I am broadcasting tonight about a podcast titled The Big D, but Not That D, the 1929 type of D, so stick around as we get into the show. Ferris Bueller Didn't Gaslight Anyone by Toby Green. Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell was trash. But you know who wasn't? Ferris Bueller. Sure, he was probably a Reagan Democrat, and it's more likely than not that he's voting for Biden. But we all have blemishes on our resume. But the good things that we do shouldn't be forgotten. He never turned his back on a friend in need, and if it was his day off, who can blame him? He skipped school, had the time of his life, all the while ignoring gym class, because damn it, it was his right. Speaking of rights, now we are quarantined. And soon our rights will be stripped further away. All because of a virus we can't test in the numbers we need to and we can't tame. So I hereby proclaim, this is Ferris Bueller Day. This is Ferris Bueller Day. All right, everyone. Good evening. I hope you are all well. This is the 14 Days in March podcast. I am Toby Green, your host. You can reach me at runtmg@gmail.com. This is now day 8. It's about 35 degrees here in the G51 studios, which, in case you didn't know, is a garage. So I'm just kicking this. This is very punk rock at the moment. So let's kind of get into this. Let's talk a little bit before I jump into some of the meatier topics. Let's talk a little bit about today. It was beautiful today. It was about 55, 56 degree day. Got a chance to go to Oxbow Park with the family. Had a great time. My love and respect to everybody out there. There was some social distancing going on. We were trying to be respectful of everybody, but again, we're in a time and place where social isolation is far more destructive. I don't want to call it far more destructive. That's not even the right term. It's just really tough right now. And one thing about this podcast I want you to know is that it's real. I don't have something scripted out that's going to be able to tell you point by point how I'm feeling or what I'm doing, or that's going to be even the correct take at the correct moment. The fact of the matter is this crisis is continuing to unfold. And for many people in our family and for all the families out there and all the people, you're not going to be perfect either. No one's going to be perfect. And you either get hurt by the virus, this very new novel virus that we're all expected to catch at some point. You're either going to get hurt by that or you're going to get hurt by isolation. Or a third way you can get hurt is by depression. So the fact that we were able to go out and have a lovely time with people that we care about was really important. And so I just wanted to highlight that and thank everybody. It was great to see everyone today. And I know that might be far and away different than what the future may hold. So let us now take a moment to talk about really kind of what this podcast today is about, which is there's no stocks that were traded. More cases of the coronavirus got announced. This new normal that we are all dealing with is really scary and terrifying. So it's real, and the stresses that are placed on people are incredibly real. Nevertheless, the question then becomes how how is this different than previous depressions or recessions or whatever the heck you want to call it? How has it been different when the economy has gone kaput, when whatever that strategy has happened went bad? Well, first of all, we got to step back in time, and we're going to talk about the Great Depression today, because whenever you see a 30% drop in the economy that's basically happened here, where the stock market went down massively over the last week or two, you're going to get those comparisons to the Great Depression. Big shout out. I want to thank my friend Kevin. He sent me some stuff that he would like to jam on at a later time, and I'm hopeful, really hopeful to do it. And by the way, quick plug about this podcast. Share it out, folks. Please share it out. Please share it with people. Please talk about some of the ideas and thoughts. I'm going through this in real time like you are. I have some ideas and thoughts. Condemn it, praise it, but please share it. That's what I'm asking. So anyways, Kevin sent this to me and sent me some stuff, so I'll be reading a little bit from it. I'm also going to be reading from an Investopedia article they sent me. Basically, Kevin wrote this show, so blame him. But the question comes up, and it's going to continue to come up, what's the difference between today and the depression that happened in 1929? Well, there really isn't a whole lot of differences other than you have iPhones. You've got a lot more sophistication than we had in 1929. But other than that, and that's for good and bad, there isn't really a whole lot of difference. And let me explain why. You got to understand, first of all, we have to go back very briefly. I'll try to keep this very brief. Go back to World War I. World War I, some of you folks know about, some of you don't. Let me give you a big, high-arching overview. You basically had one set of groups of folks, which was the U.S., Britain, France, and they were squaring off against Germany, Yugoslavia, Japan, Russia, and it was basically this massive stalemate that took place in the 1900s, 1910 to about 1920. I'm sorry, 1914 is when it started. But basically, it was like a 20-year period where this conflict was marinating. From about 1900, I'm using that loosely, to about the time that war really breaks out in 1914 until its conclusion in 1919. This was a huge conflict that took place, and this conflict was essentially it wasn't really about, oh, I hate you guys, I don't. And people make fun of it today, or have made fun of it in the past, go, well, these countries made agreements and said, if you get attacked, I'll support you. And it was just a bunch of stupid people getting into a fight. That's kind of true, but it's not completely true. What you had going on was that capitalism as an economic model, as a global economic model, had failed. That's what happened. That is fundamentally what had happened. And so out of this was a stalemate. No one won World War I. I hear it said that, oh, this side won, or that side won, or this side lost. No one won. What happened was there was various degrees of misery, but in reality, no one won. So coming out of World War I, what you had that was a fundamental problem was that none of the issues of World War I got resolved. See, you only win a fight, any type of fight, is when the underlying issues get resolved. If those underlying issues do not get resolved, you didn't win the fight. Congratulations, thanks for coming, have a good time. You don't win that fight. You don't win that struggle. Imagine if you were watching Lord of the Rings, and when they go to, when you get to the point where Frodo and Gollum are battling, and by the way, spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie, shame on you, they're getting ready to battle, and they're getting ready to throw the ring into the lava, so everybody wins. And instead of doing that, they just sit there. They don't do it. They have Gollum and Frodo have a fist fight, but they just sit there. And that's how the movie ends. You're going, well, wait a minute. Nothing got resolved. Did people die? What? Huh? That's what World War I essentially was. Was that nothing really got resolved. What it did do was the West was able to say to Germany, hey, you jerks, you caused this war, you're going to pay it back. We have enough power. And Germany said, well, okay, well, we're going to pay it back. And that, of course, led to, that humiliation would end up leading to a guy named Adolf Hitler to rise in that vacuum. Point being, the crisis was so deep that none of the underlying issues got resolved. So what happened in America? Well, what happened in America was absolute speculation, was absolute overvaluing, was all the things that ended up happening, and it was a major, major issue. All of the stuff led to rampant speculation that took place. And I got issues with that rampant speculation that took place. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what speculation is. Let's say you have a gallon of milk right now. And you say, well, this gallon of milk is worth, we'll just throw out a number, $2. Maybe it's $3. Depends on if you're talking about 2 gallon or 1 gallon, whatever. We'll just say $2. But for whatever reason, folks become really hot and interested in that gallon of milk. And you end up selling that gallon of milk and you go, wow, I want to sell more gallons of milk and I'm really interested in this. So suddenly, gallons of milk start selling out everywhere. Or they start doing whatever and they get hyping. But then demand comes back and you're like, well, crap, I've sold a lot of gallons of milk at several bucks an hour, several dollars. I need to keep this artificially inflated. I need to keep this gallon of milk worth more than it was. So it's the gallon of milk, which is probably worth in real time, worth $2 an hour, because of the demand, because of you reselling it. I'm using that. This is very terrible, but just you get what I'm saying. I'm reselling it for more than what it's actually worth. So in order to keep that artificially high, I'm going to invest money back into that gallon of milk to make it seem like there's more demand for that gallon of milk than there really is. That's essentially speculation in a nutshell. And that's what happened in the 20s. They speculated like crazy over stocks. And everybody, they call it the Roaring 20s because people were out of their mind. They were buying, they were going crazy, they were buying big tickets, everything was going great. The gravy train would never end. USA, USA, USA. Until September or October of 1929 happens and pop goes the cherry. Or pop goes the weasel, I think is the saying as it goes. It all ends. And the stock market lost 90% of its wealth. It was trading at an all-time low of 40 points. We lost last week, just to give you an example, in one day we lost 3,000 points on the stock market. They were down to 40 points. I don't even know what happens if if there's nothing to be traded in the stock market. That's how low they were on the Great Depression. And rightfully so, working people got very skeptical. And it was healthy, ultimately, that people did. Because people stopped looking at the stock market. They stopped looking at the stock market as a savior. Right now, we have a major crisis in this country, which is that people are looking at the stock market as a retirement. They're looking at the stock market like it's a benign factor. Like we have to sacrifice our firstborns to keep that damn stock market up. And that's what people are doing right now. And I don't get it, and I don't understand, I hate it. I hate it because no one is sitting there going, wow, this is really stupid. So anyways, and people are, and I gotta take that back. I'm being a little too severe. People are saying that's stupid. I'm not the only one saying it. But I'm gonna be very militant that says, if you think that your fortune in life should be tied to the stock market, you are missing a big boat of what's going on. So the question then has to come up, is this recession any different? And I'm hoping again to have my friend Kevin come on because I think Kevin he's like me, we're labor nerds, and I'd love to have a discussion with him about this. But the fundamental fact of what we are hitting right now as humanity, as this all unfolds, as humanity faces this coronavirus and a massive stock market collapse, what we are hitting is the unknown. So what we're dealing with right now is that stocks have gone down almost 9,000 points in roughly, 3 weeks? About 3 weeks, 4 weeks, tops. We are in a free fall. Now, we're seeing things that are happening to address that free fall. They tried to do different things in the 20s, but the Fed was much more independent than they were today. But I would still say that the Fed is very independent today.